government is known to actually provide guarantees to state investment funds and whatnot. How much of a risk do you think if say all these loans that the guarantees that they provide for, and the loans actually default?
From the sovereign rating angle, we have always recognized the government's finances as a moderating factor for the rating. Debt level is high. For us, we would include on-balance sheet debt, which is about 52% of GDP, and we also include the so-called off-balance sheet debt by virtue of the guarantees given. And all in, the government's debt level is high. It's almost 70% of GDP. So we have always taken that into consideration. Yes, it is a risk, and we expect to see the government to come up with more concrete measures to stem the rise in contingent liabilities. We do know that the government is getting more strict in terms of who they would extend the guarantees to, so that is a good start. Yeah, they're not going to give out guarantees freely to anybody, so that's one thing. Secondly, the government only gives out guarantees to agencies that are doing or providing very important public service. So there are some good criteria. They can tighten all these criteria, and also we understand that when the government provides a guarantee, there's usually a guarantee fee attached to it. So it's just not about free safety net or free money, so to speak, but there's also a so-called a paying money on the recipient end. So these are good measures to actually put in place that, so the agencies or SPVs and other state-owned entities would be more mindful that it's not so easy, and they have to be still accountable for the ultimate obligation at the end of the day.
Political risk is a major sovereign rating factor, in terms of corruption, in terms of accountability of the government. So where and how does Malaysia fare in this regard?
With respect to political developments, it's very important for us to sieve out the noise. And what we are looking out for is how politics would effectively affect economics, in the sense that if politics were to affect effective policy making, that's where it becomes a red flag for us. And the acid test for us would be if the government, because of political pressures, gives up on fiscal consolidation. But it's really not our base expectation for this to happen. And of course, we take comfort that the key important economic plans, for example, the 11 Malaysia plan and ETP that has started since 2010 is still ongoing. So at this point in time, we would say that we don't think we see political pressures affecting policy making as yet, but we're carefully assessing that situation.
Working towards 2020, do you then think that the Malaysian government, is actually in a tightrope now between balancing GDP growth, economic growth, as well as its fiscal consolidation efforts?
Actually, the government, we would say, has a lot of flexibility. If you think about it, the GST itself at 6% is already the lowest as it is in the region. So there is actually space to make adjustments to it, or maybe not the rate, but maybe it could be in terms of how extensive the exempted list should be. So there is fiscal space for the government to do so. And we will also say that removing fuel subsidies has definitely helped in terms of strengthening the fiscal account.
What, in your view, will lead to a downgrade in Malaysia's sovereign rating? What are the main concerns?
Well, my acid test again would be if government were to roll back on fiscal consolidation. I think the very obvious one would be if it decides to include fuel subsidies again into the system.